Okay, so I'm Adam Dunford. I do usability, and I want to start off by telling you a story of a company, anonymous e-commerce company, that had a problem. Not a problem. They went and asked a usability company to help them. This is the story of a $300 million button. They asked this usability company, gave them some money, they sent customers out to go to this e-commerce site to go through and buy products. And they came to the checkout screen, and there on the checkout screen they saw something that was pretty common. A login thing. And it turned out that new users resented the idea of having to provide the personal information, and existing users often didn't know their login information. And so a sale was lost. This usability company made one little change. They said, rather than say register, we're going to put continue. We're going to tell users, you don't have to register to make a purchase. This increased revenues by 45% in the first month, $15 million in revenue, $300 million in the first year for this e-commerce company by making this one small change. Now you may say, wow, how can we get a piece of that? It turns out that usability, even for small companies, even if you're not selling something online, can make a big impact in your overall bottom line for your company. So what is usability? Kind of a simple definition would be to say user ability. Ask yourself this question, can a user accomplish their goal? Now, realize it's not a goal and it's not your goal, it's their goal. What are they, the user, wanting to accomplish when they come to your site? Often when we put together websites, we put all of our information, our marketing speak, we put that front and center, when it turns out that the actual users, what they're looking for is completely different. If we can approach our websites, approach our applications, thinking about what the user wants, that's an important place. So I'm going to say basically 3 principles of usability. The first one is reduce barriers. Basically, make it easy for someone who comes to your site. Number 1, make your site load fast, because they'll leave if it's slow. Number 2 is make it obvious who you are, what you do, and what you want your user to do, that call to action. Spotify, what do? They play music. What do they want you to do? They want you to try it right now. Very clear call to action, reducing the barrier for someone to say, oh, I don't know what this is all about. 2, add affordance. Affordance is basically kind of a fancy way of saying, get out of your user's way. Basically, take care of what they want to have happen. And really, affordance applies to everything. Here's an iPad, here's Hulu providing some affordance. Affordance applies to everything. Maybe you have an app that requires Flash, give them an alternative. Maybe you're having somebody who connect mobilely. What are you doing to accommodate them? Maybe it's visually impaired people. Affordance is making it easier for someone to access and interact with your information. There's a whole bunch of ideas about how to apply affordance, but basically make it bigger to click, easier to interact. Add search. Put your phone number big and front and center. Make it easier for them to get to who you are. Number 3, simplify. Now, simplifying is probably the one thing that all of us can apply, but we hardly ever do. We always think there's one more thing we want to add, one more thing we want to include. But it turns out for users, that's not what they want to have happen. 2 examples, both of them web-based blogging software. Typepad, here are some really great important questions they're asking. Birthday, first name, last name. Seems like these are important questions. But let's compare it to another company that does the same thing. Tumblr, 3 fields. All you really need to ask are these 3 fields. Why does Typepad do it? Well, somebody said, I must have this information. Tumblr says, yeah, we'll get to it, but we'll get to it later. We're simplifying it, we're reducing, we're removing, we're postponing the kinds of questions so that someone can easily get to what their goal is. Because remember, anytime you're presenting a choice to a user, it's going to create a headache for them. It's better if we take on those choices, we make the headache be on our side, so that way the user doesn't have to make those choices themselves. Now, simplicity doesn't always mean that you're going to have a Google experience. What if Amazon looked like Google? How would that accomplish your goal as a user? It wouldn't. Just because it looks like it doesn't mean that it's the most effective way. Conversely, what if Google looked like Amazon? Is that the kind of experience you want to have with your search company? Your search optimization. Certainly Google gives you a chance to pitch their wares, but that's not what me as a user want. I want something simple when it comes to my search engine. I want something like Amazon for when I'm looking for products. Again, if there were anything you could take from this principle of usability, and there are a whole lot more to talk about, it's answering that question. Can a user accomplish this goal? If they're able to accomplish the goal based on the content you have on your site or the application you're presenting your site, then you're closer to having a usable website. If you can make it usable, you're going to have happier visitors, and you're going to have satisfying experiences that people will return to again and again. Thank you very much.